Hey there, YouTubers. Right, so in this video, I'm going to unbox the Aorus B760M Aorus Elite AX motherboard. It's a gaming motherboard. LGA 1700 DDR5 support on it. So let's go ahead and get everything out of the box. Before we look at the features on the motherboard, it does include an antenna. All right. You see the motherboard sitting there, which we'll talk about. That obviously had the electrostatic cover over it. Here is a manual. You're going to need to go online to get the real deal manual for this. 2 SATA cables in there, okay? So let's go ahead and look at this. Now I do have a another video I did, macro review of this, that you guys can check out. Gets real close to everything. Alright, so this motherboard, I had previously had the B660M Aorus Elite AX, great motherboard. Decided to dispose of it and get this one, right? So this is off-the-shelf compatible with 13th gen, right? So, and as well as 12th gen. And of course this has the B760 chipset, so that means that you know, you will definitely not have the same issue you will if you buy a motherboard right now and try and put a 13th gen in it. Now this does feature, in case you were concerned, this does have the BIOS update button, so you can update this without even installing a CPU, a graphics card, or the RAM. So the B660M version as well had that, and so that actually makes it really not that bad to get it up and running with 13th gen. Unlike some of the other motherboards out there. But you know, if you want completely less headache, you go with this and it should be good without any issues. Now what we have is our socket for our CPU, and to get that open you're going to pull this down and up and away, and that reveals the pins in there. You want to keep this black cover on it. Now when you do put the CPU in, you know, having that cover on will show you a little triangle to line up with your CPU. The frame itself should also have that on, so you don't have to worry about that. Let me put that back. So DDR5 RAM, I will probably put, what do I have? 2 sticks of 5200 megahertz for a total of 32 gigs. So that's pretty good. Now this motherboard, we're going to jump around. Features Wi-Fi 6E or 6 Echo. Now the audio, and let's just start looking at the features on the motherboard. So HD audio here. This has a 8-channel HD audio. All right. Fan header. Now for your graphics card connectors, this should be, I thought this was 5.0, but it may only be 4.0. I'll have to double check. I believe both these are 4.0, and unfortunately you can't see it on the motherboard itself, and this only mentions 4.0, so maybe it is. Not the biggest thing in the world right now, right? Front panel connectors. Check out my macro view video if you really want to see the detail on what's what. I'll at least try and get it close to the camera. You may have to look at this in a big monitor and pause that. But that's where your HD audio, or excuse me, your HDD LED is going to go, power switch, power LED, and your reset switch will plug in there, as well as if you have a little speaker connector to go in there. 4 SATAs, so this will support 4 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch or 2.5 inch SSD drives, all right? USB 3.2 header. This will plug into your case. Type-C Charlie connector. Of course, to take advantage of that, you need a case as well that has that on it. Another fan header, 24 pin. So obviously this being micro ATX, it's shorting you out of some of the features or the extra PCIs you would have. But it is obviously built really well, right? Look at these heat sinks on here, all right? Now, I don't know if I see it on here how many power stages this thing has. It just says on the box, fully covered MOSFET heat sinks and M.2 thermal guard. Oh yeah, here it is. Here's what we have. 12 plus 1 phases hybrid digital VRM. Now, interesting enough, folks, this looks way more awesome than the B760M DS3H, right? That doesn't even, I believe, have heat sinks at all. Or if it does, it's only a smaller one. And I actually will be unboxing that eventually, but the power stages, I believe, read exactly like that. Interesting enough, if one were to spend the time to compare them to see which one would actually run better in benchmark videos and such. All right, so we saw 24 pin connector coming from your PSU. Back up here we have ARGB and RGB. And then here is your CPU fan header right here in between those two, right? This features the better design for M.2 to secure it without having to deal with the screw. And then two M.2s, these should be both 4th gen. 1x8 and a 1x4 CPU power connector. Interesting enough, folks, for most of you that are probably going to use a locked CPU, do you really need, to use both those? I'm going to say no. For something like an i9 13900KF or the KS, I would say yes. Spread that load for those, especially if you set power limits to unlimited or adjust it, much higher than the default. But this is really, most of the time this is for more extreme overclocking stuff, and you can't overclock with this motherboard. So another fan header back here, so you guys can see that. All right, 4 USB 2.0s. Here's your Wi-Fi, DisplayPort, HDMI. This is USB Type-C Charlie there, which I love these because, I believe I get a much faster charge than plugging a USB 3.0 into this, and on the other side, the Type-C going into my phone. Dedicated BIOS for, or dedicated USB for a BIOS. And so we'll do a video where we feature this. We'll do both types of BIOS updates. USB 3.2 Gen 1s, 3 of those, and then Ethernet 2.5. Line out mic, and then fiber optic, right? So you can hook this up to a stereo. Now, God, I haven't done one of these videos in a while, folks. I actually feel a little out of it today. Just returned from Bahrain, and here we are making a video. A little jet lagged, mentally just worn out, but I wanted to get this video out. And that, folks, that's pretty much all there is to this one. We will do an installation. I'll install the i5 13400F first with the stock cooler. Then we'll put a better cooler in it. But that's all we have for this video. Thanks for checking out. Check out the macro if you want to see something up close and personal. I will have multiple installation videos, not just the one I mentioned. And that's about it.